The shelter's doors creaked open just as the rain began to fall harder, tapping against the cracked windows like impatient fingers. Inside, the smell of disinfectant mixed with damp clothes and instant soup. A man in a tailored charcoal coat paused at the entrance, clearly out of place among the worn benches and tired faces. His silver hair was neatly combed, his shoes polished to a mirror shine. No one here recognized him as Nathaniel Cole, the billionaire whose name crowned hospitals and universities. He wasn't here for charity. He was here because someone had whispered a name, and it had shaken his world. Before we go any further, tell me, where are you watching from right now? It still amazes me how one story can reach so many hearts at once. Drop your city or country below. Let's see how far this moment travels. Nathaniel stepped deeper inside, eyes adjusting to the dim fluorescent lights. The volunteer at the desk barely looked up. Beds are full tonight, she said softly, assuming he was another donor come too late or another soul with nowhere to go. I'm looking for someone, Nathaniel replied. His voice was calm, but his hand betrayed him. Fingers clenched, then released. A young girl, about 17, name's Lily. The volunteer hesitated, then nodded toward the back. Girl's wing, third row. Every step felt heavier than the last. His mind raced back 15 years. The screaming match with his son, Daniel. The slammed door. The word Nathaniel could never take back.
Remember,
if you walk out, don't ever come back. Daniel had left with his wife and newborn daughter that same night. Months later, there was an accident. One funeral, 2 coffins, and a child who vanished into paperwork, foster systems, and unanswered letters. Nathaniel had assumed the trust fund took care of her. $2 million.
I understand.
Lawyers, accounts, safety. That's what money was supposed to do. Protect, even when love failed. He reached the third row. Lily sat curled on a narrow cot. Knees pulled her chest. Hoodie sleeves stretched over her hands. A paperback book rested open in her lap. But her eyes weren't reading. They were distant, guarded, too old for her age. Nathaniel stopped breathing. She had Daniel's eyes. The same quiet intensity. The same slight scar above the brow. From when Daniel was 6 and fell off his bike. Nathaniel remembered rushing him to the ER, furious and terrified all at once. Lily, the name left his mouth like a prayer. She looked up, startled. Her first instinct was to protect herself. Shoulders tightening, fingers gripping the book. Do I know you? She asked. Nathaniel swallowed. 1,000 answers crowded his throat, but only one truth mattered. I think I'm your grandfather. Silence stretched between them. The shelter hummed around them. Coughs, footsteps, murmurs. But Lily heard none of it. My grandparents are dead, she said flatly. I know, he replied, pain flickering across his face. I mean, I'm your father's father. Her eyes searched his face, looking for lies, pity, danger. Years of disappointment had trained her well. And now what? She asked. You here to feel better about yourself? The question cut deeper than any accusation. Nathaniel lowered himself onto the bench across from her, ignoring the way his coat brushed the dirty floor. I've been looking for you for a long time, he said. I didn't know you were here. A bitter laugh escaped her. No one ever does. He glanced around, the thin blankets, the chipped paint, the exhaustion hanging in the air. You shouldn't be, he murmured, more to himself than to her. There's a trust fund, $2 million.
Remember,
it was set up for you when you were born. Lily's expression didn't change. That hurt more than anger would have. Yeah, she said quietly. That's what they all say. They, social workers, case managers, a lawyer once. She closed the book. Funny thing about money, though, it never shows up when you need it. Nathaniel felt the ground shift beneath him. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was something else. Something wrong. Lily, he said carefully, where has the money been going? She stood up then, eyes blazing for the first time. You tell me, she snapped. Because I've been sleeping in shelters, aging out of the system, working double shifts just to eat. So if there's $2 million with my name on it, her voice cracked. Why am I here? Nathaniel had no answer. only a growing, terrible realization that somewhere along the way, his last promise to his son had been broken and the cost was standing right in front of him, shaking with a pain no amount of money could ever erase. Nathaniel didn't speak right away. He stood there, absorbing Lily's words as if they were blows to the chest. Around them, the shelter kept moving. A volunteer passing out cups of water, a child crying somewhere behind a thin wall. But his world narrowed to the girl in front of him, his granddaughter, his failure. "I'm not here to disappear again," he finally said, voice low. "And I'm not leaving until I understand what happened." Lily scoffed and turned away, shoving the book into her worn backpack. People say a lot of things when they feel guilty. He watched her shoulders tense as she prepared for rejection, already bracing herself. Nathaniel reached into his coat slowly, deliberately, making sure she could see every movement. He pulled out his phone and held it up. "Let me at least do one thing right tonight," he said. "Come eat with me, somewhere warm. No questions, no lawyers, just food." She hesitated. Hunger war with pride. Hunger usually won. "Fine," she muttered, "but I'm coming back. This is my bed." Nathaniel nodded. "I'll walk you back myself." They left the shelter together, the rain easing into a soft drizzle. Outside, his driver opened the door of the black sedan, then froze when he saw Lily's clothes, her scuffed shoes. Nathaniel waved him off. "We'll walk," he said. They went to a small diner 2 blocks away. Cracked vinyl seats, neon sign flickering like it might give up at any moment. Nathaniel ordered without looking at the prices. Lily ordered carefully, apologetically. When the food came, she ate fast at first, then slowed, embarrassed. Nathaniel pretended not to notice. He watched instead, the way she guarded her plate, the way she flinched every time the door opened. If you were there in that moment, let me ask you something. What would you have done? Would you have walked away or stayed and listened? Be honest. Share your answer below. And if words don't come easy, just tap like. Sometimes that's how compassion speaks. After they ate, Nathaniel paid and slid out of the booth. "You said you're coming back to the shelter," he said gently. "I won't stop you. But tomorrow morning, let me take you somewhere safe. Just to talk." Lily studied him for a long moment. "One day," she said. "That's it." "Good. Thank you," he replied, and meant more than she could imagine. The next morning, Nathaniel waited outside the shelter before sunrise. Lily emerged with her backpack and guarded eyes. He drove her to a modest townhouse, not one of his mansions, but a quiet place with clean windows and a garden just beginning to bloom. Inside, she stood stiffly, like a guest expecting to be asked to leave any second. "I hired an independent forensic accountant," Nathaniel said, handing her a mug of hot chocolate. "He's already pulling records." And she asked, not hopeful, just tired. Nathaniel exhaled slowly. "The trust fund exists, but it's been drained. Over years. Slowly. Signed off by someone with legal authority."
I understand.
Lily's fingers tightened around the mug. "So someone stole it?" "Yes." "Then I don't need to be here," she said, standing. "That's the answer. Same as always." "Wait," Nathaniel said quickly. "The signatures lead back to my former estate attorney, a man I trusted for decades." Her laugh was hollow. "Of course." Guilt pressed on Nathaniel's chest like a weight. "I should have checked. I should have followed up. I assumed money could replace presence." Lily turned toward the window. "Money doesn't fix being alone." The words lingered between them. Days passed. Lily stayed. First one night, then two. Nathaniel gave her space, never forcing affection. He cooked simple meals.
I understand.
Listened when she spoke. Let her be angry. One afternoon, she found a framed photo on a shelf. A young Daniel holding a baby. "That's you," Nathaniel said softly. She stared at it, eyes glassy. "I don't remember him."
This is important.
Nathaniel's voice broke. "He would have loved you fiercely." For the first time, Lily didn't pull away. She sat down beside him. "I don't want the money," she whispered. "I just want to know I mattered." Nathaniel placed his hand over hers, tentative, reverent. "You always did." Outside, Sunlight spilled to the window, catching dust motes in the air, tiny fragile things, suddenly visible. And for the first time in years, Lily allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't invisible anymore. The townhouse grew quieter as evening settled in. Lily sat at the small kitchen table, flipping through an old notebook Nathaniel had placed there earlier. It wasn't financial records or legal papers, just memories, dates, short notes, birthdays he'd missed, letters he'd written but never sent. "I kept meaning to find you," he said from the doorway. "Every year, I told myself tomorrow." Lily didn't look up. "Tomorrow doesn't come for kids in the system," she replied. Not bitter, just factual. Nathaniel felt that truth land deep. He pulled out a chair and sat across from her, the space between them still careful, still new. "Tell me about your life," he asked. "The real parts, not the files." She hesitated, then shrugged. There were some okay homes, some bad ones, mostly temporary. She traced a finger along the table's edge. "I learned early not to unpack." He nodded slowly. "Because unpacking means hoping." She glanced at him, surprised. "Yeah." Her voice softened as the night stretched on. She told him about a foster mother who used to braid her hair before school, about a social worker named Grace who once drove 3 hours just to see her in a school play, about the night she turned 16 and realized no one remembered. "Have you ever had someone help you when no one else would?" she asked quietly, almost to herself. "If you have, write yes below and tell me their name." Sometimes saying it out loud reminds us we weren't as alone as we felt. Nathaniel swallowed. "My father," he said after a moment. "He was strict, distant, but when my business failed the first time, he showed up, didn't say much, just stayed." Lily nodded, absorbing that. The clock ticked softly on the wall. Over the next week, lawyers came and went. The accountant confirmed what Nathaniel feared. The trust had been siphoned away through shell accounts, masked as management fees. The betrayal wasn't just financial. It was personal. Lily listened from the hallway one afternoon as Nathaniel raised his voice for the first time. "You stole from a child," he said into the phone, fury barely contained. "From my family." She'd never heard anyone fight for her like that. Later that night, she sat on the porch steps, staring at the streetlights. Nathaniel joined her, handing over a blanket without a word. "I don't know how to be here," she admitted. "Every time things get good, they end." "They don't have to," he said gently. "Not this time." She hugged her knees. "You don't owe me anything." "I owe you everything," he replied. "But I won't try to buy your trust. I'll earn it." The words were simple, but they stayed with her. A few days later, Nathaniel took Lily to visit the old house where Daniel had grown up. It was smaller than she imagined. Ordinary. A swing still hung in the backyard, creaking softly in the wind. "He used to jump from that," Nathaniel said, pointing. "Thought he could fly." Lily smiled faintly. "Guess I get that from him." Inside, Nathaniel opened a closet and pulled out a dusty box. Drawings. School awards. A tiny pair of shoes. "I kept everything," he said, "even when I pretended I'd moved on." Lily picked up a crayon drawing, a stick figure family holding hands. One figure was taller, labeled Dad. Another smaller one said me. Her throat tightened. "He wanted a family," she whispered. "So do I," Nathaniel said. That night, Lily cried for the first time since she'd arrived. Not loud, just quiet tears she tried to hide in the guest room. Nathaniel didn't rush in. He waited outside the door. "I'm here," he said softly. "Whenever you're ready." She opened it and leaned into him, unsure, fragile. He held her like she might break, and like he never wanted to let go. In that moment, something shifted. Not fixed, not healed, but acknowledged. And sometimes, that's where healing begins. Morning arrived quietly. Sunlight filtered through the thin curtains of the guest room, brushing Lily's face like a cautious hand. She woke with a jolt, disoriented for half a second, then remembered where she was. The townhouse, the soft bed, the fact that no one had told her she needed to leave yet. She sat up slowly, listening. From downstairs came the clink of a spoon against ceramic. A low hum, someone making coffee. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. Lily pulled on her hoodie and crept down the stairs. Nathaniel stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, reading glasses perched low on his nose as he frowned a frying pan. "I think I've offended the eggs," he said without turning. "They're refusing to cooperate." She blinked, then let out a small laugh before she could stop herself. He turned surprised and smiled. Not the polished smile he gave donors or board members. This one was soft, almost shy. "Good morning," he said. "Morning," she replied, hovering near the doorway. "There's toast," he said, gesturing. "And coffee, or tea, or hot chocolate." I remembered. Her chest tightened at that. He remembered. They ate together at the table, sunlight pooling between them. It felt almost domestic. That realization scared her more than it comforted her. Later that day, Nathaniel suggested a walk. No destination, just movement. They strolled past quiet houses, kids riding bikes, a woman watering flowers. "This used to be my whole world," Nathaniel said. "Before the money, before the noise." Lily kicked a pebble along the sidewalk. "It's quiet." "Too quiet sometimes," he admitted. "That's when regrets get loud." They reached a small park. An elderly man struggled with grocery bags near a bench. Without thinking, Lily stepped forward. "Here," she said, taking 2 of the bags. "I got it." The man smiled, grateful. "Thank you, miss." Nathaniel watched her from a few steps back. Something in his eyes shifted, pride mixed with ache. "Now it's your turn for a moment. Share one small good thing you did recently, or one kindness you witnessed. Write it below so others remember goodness still exists. Your story might be exactly what someone needs tonight." On the way back, Lily said quietly, "You didn't have to bring me here, or cook, or walk." "I wanted to," Nathaniel replied. "Kindness shouldn't always be earned." That night, the lawyer called with updates. The estate attorney had fled the country. Assets frozen. Legal battles ahead. "The money may take time," the lawyer warned. Nathaniel glanced at Lily, who sat on the couch pretending not to listen. "Understood," he said. "Do whatever it takes." When he hung up, Lily spoke first. "You don't have to fight for it," she said. "I told you. I don't care about the money." "I know," he said gently. "But it represents something that was stolen from you. Your security. Your choices." She stared at the floor. "I learned not to plan." "That's something we can change," he said. The next day, he drove her to a community college campus. She stiffened as they walked past classrooms buzzing with students. "Why are we here?" she asked. "You mentioned once you liked literature," he said. "I thought you might want to look." "I can't afford this." "You don't have to decide anything today," he replied. "Just look." She lingered outside a classroom where students debated a novel. Words flew back and forth, passionate, alive. For a moment, she imagined herself there, raising her hand, being heard. Her eyes burned. That evening, Lily received a call from the shelter director. "Your bed's still open," the woman said kindly. "But are you safe?" Lily looked at Nathaniel across the room. He didn't interrupt, didn't plead. "Yes," Lily said. "I am." After she hung up, silence settled. "I won't trap you here," Nathaniel said quietly. "You're free to go anytime." She nodded, then surprised them both by saying, "I want to stay. For now." Relief flickered across his face. Then he masked it, respectful of her independence. That night, Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, the future felt like something she could touch, and that terrified her. Because hope, once felt, is painful to lose. Down the hall, Nathaniel sat at his desk, staring at an old photo of Daniel. "I found her," he whispered. "I won't fail her again." Outside, the streetlights glowed steadily. Quiet witnesses to a fragile beginning still finding its balance, unaware that the hardest test was yet to come. The call came just after midnight. Nathaniel was still awake, paper spread across his desk, when his phone vibrated softly. He answered before the second ring. "They found him," the lawyer said. Your former attorney. He was arrested trying to move funds through a foreign account. Nathaniel closed his eyes. Relief came first, sharp, fleeting, followed by something heavier. And the money? A portion can be recovered, the lawyer continued. Not all. Years of misuse, it's complicated. But there's more. A pause. He listed himself as Lily's legal guardian after her parents' deaths. That's how he accessed the trust. He intercepted every inquiry, every letter. Nathaniel's hand trembled as he set the phone down. So that was it. The reason no one ever found her. The reason every door closed before it opened. Someone had erased Lily on paper, and the world had followed along. He sat there for a long time, the house silent around him. Then he stood and walked down the hallway, stopping outside Lily's room. The light beneath the door was still on. He knocked once. Yeah, her voice came cautious. I need to tell you something, he said. It's important. The door opened slowly. Lily stood there barefoot, hair pulled into a messy knot, eyes already bracing for bad news. She'd lived long enough to recognize that tone. They caught him, Nathaniel said. The man who managed the trust. She didn't react, just waited. He didn't just steal the money, Nathaniel continued, voice tight. He legally placed himself between you and everyone else. He made sure no one could reach you. Not me, not the courts, not the system. Her face went blank, like a switch had been flipped. So, she said quietly, he knew where I was. Yes, and he did nothing. Nathaniel nodded, shame flooding his features. I'm so sorry. The room felt suddenly smaller. Lily stepped back, then sank onto the edge of the bed, her hands curled into fists in the fabric of the blanket. All those nights, all those forms, all those times she'd been told, there's nothing more we can do. It had all been a lie. If that moment hit you hard, leave a red heart. Sometimes a small symbol carries the weight of feelings we can't put into words. I thought I didn't matter enough, Lily said, staring at the wall. Turns out I mattered too much to ignore. The words cut Nathaniel deeper than anger ever could. He's going to prison, Nathaniel said, and I'll make sure you're protected from now on, in every way. She let out a short, humorless laugh. Protection came kind of late, didn't it? Yes, he said. It did. Silence stretched. Then Lily surprised him. I don't want to talk about the money anymore, she said. Not tonight. Okay, he replied immediately. What I want to know, she continued, voice trembling despite her effort to steady it, is why you didn't look harder. The question wasn't accusatory. It was wounded, honest. Nathaniel sat beside her, careful not to crowd her space. Because I was afraid, he admitted, afraid I'd find out I'd failed you. And somewhere along the way, that fear became an excuse. Lily nodded slowly. Fear makes people disappear. Yes, he said. And I disappeared when you needed me most. She didn't forgive him. Not yet. But she didn't push him away either. The next few days were heavy. Reporters called. Lawyers strategized. Nathaniel shielded Lily from it all, but she felt the weight anyway. Truth had a gravity of its own. One afternoon, Lily wandered into the small backyard, sinking onto the grass beneath the old oak tree. She pressed her palms into the earth, grounding herself. Nathaniel watched from the window, then joined her quietly. When my parents died, she said suddenly, I kept waiting for someone to show up and say it was all a mistake, that they'd been looking for me. Nathaniel swallowed. I wish I had. I know, she replied, and for the first time, there was no edge in her voice, just sadness. A week later, Lily received a letter, forwarded from the courts, an apology, written shakily, from the man who had stolen her future. Pages of justifications. Regret. Fear. She read it once. Then she folded it neatly and set it on the table. Do you want to respond? Nathaniel asked gently. Lily shook her head. He already took enough of my time. That night, she dreamed of water, standing at the edge of something deep, unsure whether to step in or walk away. When she woke, she realized something important. The pain wasn't gone, but it was changing. And sometimes That's how healing announces itself. Not with relief, but with a quiet understanding that the worst truth has already been faced and survived. The house felt different after the truth settled in. Not heavier, just clearer, like a wound finally uncovered, no longer festering in the dark. Lily began spending more time outside her room. Small things at first. Sitting in the living room with a book. Helping Nathaniel water the garden. Asking questions she'd once swallowed before they could form. One afternoon, she found Nathaniel in the study, staring at a legal document without really seeing it. "Did you ever forgive my dad?" she asked suddenly. The question startled him. He set the papers aside. "I thought I had," he said slowly. "But forgiveness that isn't spoken, it rots. I waited too long." She leaned against the doorframe. "Do you think he forgave you?" Nathaniel's eyes shone. "I hope so." That night, Lily sat alone on the porch steps again, the same place she'd once sworn she wouldn't stay long. Her phone buzzed, a message from an old foster friend asking where she'd disappeared to. "Somewhere new," Lily typed, then hesitated before adding, "somewhere safe." She stared at the word safe for a long time. Days later, the lawyer returned with final numbers. The recovered funds wouldn't reach $2 million, not even close. But it was enough for college. Enough for stability. Enough for choices. Nathaniel slid the folder across the table. "It's yours," he said. No conditions. No expectations. Lily didn't open it. "You're not angry?" he asked gently. "I am," she said honestly. "But not at you. Not anymore." She finally met his eyes. "I don't want my life to be built on what was stolen from me. I want it built on what I choose next." Something inside Nathaniel eased at those words. The night before Lily's enrollment meeting at the college, a storm rolled in. Thunder rattled the windows, sharp and sudden. Lily woke from a nightmare, heart racing, breath shallow. She didn't knock this time. She went straight to Nathaniel's door. "I hate storms," she said quietly when he opened it. "They sound like endings." He stepped aside without a word, letting her sit on the edge of the bed. He didn't reach for her, didn't force comfort. "They used to scare Daniel too," he said softly. "He'd crawl into my room and pretend he wasn't afraid." Lily gave a small smile. "Guess it runs in the family." The thunder softened into rain. Steady, rhythmic. "Can I ask you something hard?" Lily said after a moment. "Always." If he were still alive," she whispered, "do you think he'd be proud of me?" Nathaniel didn't hesitate. Without question. Tears spilled then, quiet, unrestrained. Nathaniel sat beside her, close enough to feel her shaking, but still letting her choose a distance. Before the storm fully passed, Lily spoke again. "I don't know if I can forgive that man, the one who did this." Nathaniel nodded. "You don't have to. Forgiveness isn't a debt. Be honest. Could you forgive after something like this? Type forgive if you think you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. There's no wrong answer, only truth." The next morning, Lily walked onto the college campus with Nathaniel beside her. She wore borrowed confidence like a jacket, still a little too big. Inside the admissions office, she spoke for herself. Her voice trembled at first, then steadied. "I want to study literature," she said, "because stories kept me alive when nothing else did." Nathaniel watched for the chair behind her, eyes wet, heart full. Afterward, they sat on a bench beneath a blooming tree. Students passed, laughing, arguing, living. "I'm scared," Lily admitted. "That means you're growing," he replied. She leaned back, face tilted toward the sun. "You know, I think staying was the right choice." He smiled, but didn't speak, afraid any word might break the moment. That evening, Lily opened the apology letter again. Read it once more. This time, she didn't feel rage or pity. She felt finished. She placed it in the fireplace and struck a match. The paper curled, blackened, disappeared. Nathaniel stood behind her, silent witness. "I'm not forgiving him," she said calmly, "but I'm not carrying him anymore." Outside, the sky cleared. Stars peeked through, small, steady, patient. For the first time in her life, Lily didn't feel like she was waiting for something to end. She felt like she was standing at the beginning. The weeks that followed moved gently, like a tide that no longer rushed or pulled back too hard. Lily settled into a rhythm she'd never known before. Mornings that didn't begin with panic. Evenings that didn't end with fear. Structure didn't feel like a cage anymore. It felt like ground. Her college classes began in early autumn. Nathaniel insisted on driving her the first day, though she teased him for it. "You know I can handle a bus," she said, tugging on her jacket. "I know," he replied, picking up his keys anyway. "Humor me." She didn't argue. On campus, Lily walked with a notebook pressed to her chest, eyes taking everything in. The tall buildings, the crowded walkways, the sound of ideas colliding midair. In her literature class, she sat near the back, listening more than speaking at first. But when the professor asked why stories mattered, Lily's hand rose before she could stop it. "Because," she said slowly, choosing each word with care, "sometimes a story is the only place someone is seen." The room went quiet. After class, a girl named Ava caught up to her. "That was powerful," she said. "Want to grab coffee sometime?" Lily smiled, not guarded, not forced. "Real." "Yeah," she said. "I'd like that." At home, Nathaniel noticed a change in small ways. Lily laughed more easily. She hummed while cooking. She left her door open. One evening, he found her at the dining table, surrounded by books and scribbled notes. "You're glowing," he said, unable to hide the pride in his voice. She rolled her eyes. "I'm tired." "You're alive," he corrected gently. She paused, then nodded. "Yeah, I think I am." That night, Nathaniel visited Daniel's grave for the first time in years. He stood there under the fading sky, hands folded, voice barely above a whisper. "She's strong," he said. "Stronger than I ever was." His throat tightened. "I'm trying to be better. For her." A breeze stirred the leaves, soft and forgiving. Back at the house, Lily sat on the porch, reading under the porch light. When Nathaniel returned, she looked up. "How was it?" she asked. "Necessary," he replied. She considered that, then closed her book. "I wrote something," she said. "For class. But I don't know if it's good." "Can I hear it?" he asked. She hesitated, then nodded. Her voice wavered as she read. A short piece about a girl who lived in invisible places, who learned to survive by shrinking herself, until one day someone finally saw her and didn't look away. When she finished, silence hung between them. "That," Nathaniel said softly, "is more than good." Tears filled her eyes, not from pain this time, but from being understood. Later that week, Lily volunteered at the same shelter where they'd first met. She sorted clothes, served meals, listened. A younger girl clung to her sleeve. "Do you ever get out?" the girl whispered. Lily crouched down to her level. "Sometimes," she said gently. "And when you do, it's okay to take the good with you." Driving home that night, she stared out the window. Thoughtful. "I used to think kindness was weak," she said, "like it was something people use against you. And now," Nathaniel asked, "and now I think it's the bravest thing there is." If you believe love still wins, even after everything, comment amen below. Let's fill this space with hope. Somewhere, someone scrolling right now might need to see it. Winter crept in slowly. The house filled with warmth, laughter, shared meals, quiet conversations that stretched late into the night. Lily decorated a small tree, carefully placing each ornament as if it mattered, because now it did. On the anniversary of her parents' passing, Lily lit 2 candles. Nathaniel stood beside her, not intruding, just present. "I miss them," she said. "I know," he replied. "But," she added after a moment, "I don't feel lost anymore." Nathaniel reached for her hand. This time, she squeezed back. That night, Lily stood in front of the mirror in her room, studying her reflection. The girl looking back still carried scars, but she also carried light. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't forgotten. She was becoming. Outside, snow began to fall. Soft, steady, transforming everything it touched. And for the first time in a very long time, the future didn't feel like something to fear. It felt like something worth believing in. The first snowstorm of the year arrived without warning. By morning, the world outside the townhouse was buried in white, quiet, softened, as if the past had been gently covered rather than erased. Lily stood by the window, mug warming her hands, watching snow fall from the sky the color of forgiveness. She'd learned to love mornings like this. No alarm screaming danger. No fear where she'd sleep. Just stillness. Behind her, Nathaniel flipped through the newspaper, pretending not to watch a reflection in the glass. "You have class today?" he asked. "Later," she said, "but I was thinking of stopping by the shelter first." He looked up. "You don't have to." "I know," she replied, turning toward him. "That's why I want to." At the shelter, Lily moved with quiet confidence now. She wasn't a resident. She wasn't a savior. She was something better. Proof. Proof that endings weren't always final. A woman recognized her near the coat rack. "You look different," she said kindly. Lily smiled. "I feel different." On her way out, Lily noticed a small boy sitting alone, clutching a torn backpack. She knelt beside him. "What's your name?" she asked. "Michael," he whispered. She handed him a knitted scarf. "It gets cold out there," she said, "but it doesn't stay that way forever." Back home, Nathaniel waited at the dining table. 2 envelopes laid neatly in front of him. One held finalized legal documents. Lily's independence secured, her future protected beyond money. The other was handwritten. "This one's for you," he said, sliding the letter across. She hesitated before opening it. Nathaniel watched, heart pounding like it had the day he first stepped into the shelter. Lily read silently. It wasn't long. Just an apology without excuses. A promise without conditions. And one simple line at the end. "If you choose to walk your life without me, I will still be grateful for every moment I was allowed to know you." Her hands trembled slightly. "I'm not leaving," she said quietly. Nathaniel exhaled, a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding for months. That evening, they sat together by the fireplace. Outside, snow continued to fall, patient and persistent. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't come that night?" Lily asked. "Yes," Nathaniel said honestly. "Every day." She nodded. "Me too." A pause. "But I don't live there anymore." He turned to her. "Where do you live now?" She smiled softly. "Here," then added, "in the present." The fire crackled. Time moved forward. Before the night ended, Lily stood and faced the camera of her phone. Something she'd never done before. She hesitated, then pressed record. "I don't know who needs to hear this," she said, voice steady but gentle. "But where you are now isn't where you'll stay forever, even if it feels endless, especially then." She stopped recording, unsure if she'd ever post it. Nathaniel watched from across the room, eyes wet. "If this story moved you, please don't scroll past quietly. Tap like. Not for me, but for Lily and for every soul who carried pain silently and still chose kindness. One small click can be your way of saying, I see you. You mattered." Later that night, Lily placed the final ornament on the tree, a small glass key. "What's that for?" Nathaniel asked. "For doors," she said. "The ones that finally open." He nodded, understanding more than words could say. As midnight approached, Lily stood at the window one last time. Snowflakes drifted down, each one different, each one enough. She thought about the girl she'd been, the one who slept in shelters, who believed survival was the same thing as living. And she thought about the girl she was becoming, someone who read stories not to escape but to understand. Someone who chose kindness not because it was easy, but because it was powerful. Nathaniel joined her, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You're going to change lives," he said. She shook her head gently. "No, I'm just going to live mine." Outside, the world remained quiet. But inside that small house, something profound had settled. Not perfection, not erasure pain, but peace. Because sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money reclaimed or justice served. It's being found, and choosing finally to stay.